Hi everyone, I'm Mel and welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. So today's episode is a dynamite episode. It's called Can We Take Revenge on a Narcissist? And in a lot of abuse forums, people ask questions such as, how do I get even? How do I make the narcissist accountable? And they even ask, how can I take revenge on a narcissist? Now, this was a topic that was covered over by a known narcissistic abuse recovery expert on YouTube recently, and that included even some things about how you can play the narcissist back at their own game and give them a dose of their own medicine. But, is this really, really possible? And is there any upside to trying to beat the narcissist at their own game? So I really wanted to put this to the community, and I did, and I put this question up on my Facebook page and I invited a conversation which had an enormous amount of input on it. And that's what this episode is about today. It's about my input and other people's input. And I'll just start off from saying, from my point of view in the last 8 years of my experience in this community, helping people recover, I've actually only ever seen people trying to take revenge on a narcissist as having really bad consequences. And there's really clear-cut quantum reasons for that. And the clear-cut quantum reasons are that if we're doing any action or any behavior from a negative emotion, which is a powerless emotion, which is really saying that I don't have the goods or the ability or the energy to generate a healthy result here. This is why I'm traumatized and I'm in fear and I'm in pain. And the thing is, whenever we're trying to take revenge on a narcissist from the premise of, I need to hold you accountable, I need to teach you a lesson, what we're really saying to the laws of life is, I can't feel better unless I change some sort of circumstance with you. Now that renders us powerless, really immediately. And, it's really sort of kind of interesting what a few people had to say about that. Like the Rain, she said on Facebook, she said, well, what's the point to that? Trying to hold them accountable, because narcissists have no insight, they have no conscience, and they're never going to be held accountable at an emotional or a mental or a spiritual level. And that is just so true. And, also too, when we think that we need to pay them back, what we're really saying is life got this wrong. This was a horrible mistake. This was never meant to happen. There was no sole reason in this for me. And this is not the thriver orientation. That's a victim orientation. And as Pema Chodron really famously said, if we don't learn what life is showing us, it's going to keep going until we get what we need to know. We're not going to, life's just going to turn up the volume on us and keep things going until we get the message and we get the lesson. And this is so what narcissistic abuse is about. We really hadn't realized that we weren't self-partnered. We were assigning the narcissist as the person that would heal our inner wounds for us, instead of realizing that they're the messenger of those gaps and those wounds within us, and where we're not self-loving and where we're not self-partnered. And if we're not realizing that, and we hold the narcissist accountable for fixing those wounds, and of course they don't, we're going to get very angry. We're going to want revenge, and we're going to want to really punish the narcissist for not healing our wounds. And there's no evolution in that. There's no up-leveling in that. So the only possibility in that is to stay mired in the muck and the pain and the fight and all the drama and all the things that go with that. And you know, this is what people said about that. Vicky said on my Facebook page, harbouring revenge fantasies only hurt me and turn my own life into a 3-ring circus to do it, which causes more harm than good. And I would never be conniving enough to beat him at his own game. And Amanda said this, revenge keeps you stuck when healing. You don't feel better after revenge. The narc hits harder and the cycle of pain continues. What you put out there comes back to bite you. It's just not worth it. And Pamela said this, the problem with that is that we enablers have this debilitating emotion called empathy, and the narcs are not encumbered by this. So they've got much more stamina for inflicting cruelty on others. Absolutely true. And we're going to get to that point. You know, when we're trying to take out revenge on narcissists, we're stepping onto a minefield that we are just completely unprepared for, because narcissists are boundaryless. Okay, they've got a massive ego investment in it, which means that I would rather be right than happy. And absolutely what this means is we're going to be out of our depth. We're not, who is going to go down the end of the line the most saying, I don't care about consequences. I care about my pride and my ego. I'm going to be right at all costs. I'm just going to keep upping the ante on this. So are we going to meet them at that level? Are we going to actually sell our souls out to complete pathological behaviour in order to win? And how on earth is that going to bring us peace? You know, to even play that game or even think that we're capable of playing that game. And, you know, it's really interesting that, you know, as Erin said to that, you know, narcissists are professionals in providing pain and manipulation. So if a revenge seeker can successfully show them up, I'm going to ask, will the real narcissist please stand up? So I think it's a compliment to ourselves to say, I'm not willing or even capable of playing on that field at that level in the revenge stakes. I'm just not going to keep up in the ante. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do it. So what we really need to understand is that we're not going to get vindication. Vindication is not going to be a result of this. In fact, one of the most major results that can happen out of this is that when we start acting, when we bring our vibration down to that level of the nastiness of revenge, what happens generally is narcissists use that as bullets to shoot us with, because one of our huge big things that we had with narcissists as codependents is, you know, I'm trying to convince you that I'm a really good person and that I have integrity and I'm not all these things that you accuse me of. So the narcissist will just pick up all the evidence of you being a bad person, fling it in your face and say, I was right all along about you. You are a piece of crap. And that's just, this is what I've seen with victims when they've tried to come back with, you know, revenge and teaching the narcissist a lesson and giving them some of their own medicine. That narcissist fling that back in their face. They regress back into their young childhood wounds that they've never healed yet of, you don't believe me, you know, you don't love me, you don't value me, I don't have worth to you, you don't accept and approve of me, which is really the deal as to why a narcissist is in our life in the first place. So all we're going to do is rip open those wounds more, create more traumatization, more bullets for the narcissist to shoot you with, and more of the fight that you're never going to win. You know, this is not what we're meant to be winning. So in stark contrast, the Thriver evolution model is just so different to that. It's all about us taking responsibility for those young wounds and working with ourselves on that level. And I just want to share some of the things that people posted on the Facebook page about this. Jill said, I think the best revenge is to, 1, do the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program and recover from childhood wounds. And 2, ignore the narcissist because they seek attention and supply. And 3, be happy and successful without them. And she said, as a thriver, I get my revenge every day. So Nikki's comment was, thriving is the only revenge. And Sonia said, thriving and succeeding. It liberates you and it's the best silent revenge. And Antoinette said this, I'm too busy working on myself. The narcissist is no longer important and in any capacity other than the lesson that I had to learn. So, that's how we look at it from a thriver point of view. So just, a little bit more about that ego stuff. Our soul is always after evolution. And what that means is that we're coming out of fear and pain and judgment into love and authenticity. That's what our true power is about. Ego is the very antithesis of that. Revenge is an ego model. So if we lower our vibration into ego, this is where we're in a battle of pain bodies. We're in a battle of egos, where there's no upside to any of that, because the person that is going to win is the person with the least conscience and the most unconscious person, meaning that I do not take responsibility for what I generate and create. That's none of it's my fault. I'm not the generative experience of my own life. That's what unconsciousness means. So the narcissist is incredibly unconscious, and you pretty much have to sell out all consciousness if you want to play at that level. And the repercussions are horrendous, because a run amok ego would rather die than be wrong. And all you're doing is feeding the narcissist energy to fight you back with. That's what happens when pain bodies start attacking pain bodies, is it creates a complete and utter mess. What you've got is Godzilla versus the gorilla. And you're the gorilla, Godzilla's bigger. And this is how you absolutely energize narcissists to annihilate you, is to try and attack them at that level. And we start to understand in the thriver model that if we detach, we up-level our wounds that hooked us in there and fed the narcissist energy in the first place. Well, then what happens is we start becoming a model of integrity, calm, solidness, without fear and without pain. We show up authentically. All of the resources of life start aligning with us, because that is what source and life and existence is made of, integrity and love. We're not separated from that. When we're in ego function, when anybody's in ego function, they are separated from wholesomeness, well-being, and organic creation. They're in survival, they're in fear. You're cut off from those resources. So pretty much what you've said, life, God, source, I've stepped out of the ring with you to generate healthily and get healthy with you. I've stepped in to an ego ring, and I'm now on my own with this other ego. Doesn't work. It's just a horrible, horrible place to be. So there's one more point that's really, really important about all of this, and that point is to do with narcissistic supply. What do narcissists want more than anything else? Narcissistic supply. That's their drug. That keeps them alive, emotionally intact enough to be functioning, and it keeps energizing them and powering them up to be narcissists. It is their lifeblood, like human blood is to a vampire. What is narcissistic supply? Any attention, any energy, any attention, good or bad. The more powerfully charged the attention, the more significant, the more of A-grade narcissistic supply it is to a narcissist. Revenge is laced with intense emotion. It is a triple A grade narcissistic supply, because what it grants the narcissist is, I can affect this person so powerfully. This feeds, I'm significant. I must be significant. I exist. I'm significant. I'm godlike. Stop doing it. The best way to defeat a narcissist is what we've all been saying here. And, you know, Sylvia said this about her experience with all of this. I learnt the hard way that taking revenge is exactly what the narcissist wants us to do, because we are in fact giving them supply. They don't care what shape or form the supply comes in. They don't care if we worship or detest them, just as long as we are still focused on them and paying them attention. They feed off the energy we're giving to the situation, and of course it also enables them to play the poor, hard, done by victim. See them as a chronic drug addict whose habit you've been financing and who you are now refusing to fund any longer, because that's what we're doing when we engage in any kind of conflict with them. We provide them with supply and we pay a high personal price for it. Perfect, Sylvia. That's just so perfect. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this, which is the Thriver orientation in regard to this topic about revenge. And this is what Nikki wrote, and it's just perfect. Understanding what being a narc is like, and after finding my bliss, no revenge is ever needed. Compare the two lives. My life is amazing. I'll choose my life 1,000,000 times over, and I'll go through it all again to have what I have now. I don't need revenge. I've seen the day-to-day hell of not being able to know your true self, never being able to be loved or love yourself. That's more revenge than anyone deserves. That's what the narcissist goes through every day. That's hell on earth. That's no existence. I've got no need for revenge. My heart is filled with love for myself. And that is the greatest revenge. Know that we've come out of unconsciousness and we've come into loving ourselves and being whole beings as a result of what we've been through. That's the Thriver orientation. And it is really sad that narcissists don't do that. They can't do that. What is the need for revenge? A life well lived is the only way to go. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and if you do enjoy my episodes, please subscribe to my channel and like and comment. And also too, if you would like to get on to my free resources and really start healing from narcissistic abuse, you can do that by clicking the button that appears on this video. And also too, I would love you to join in my next 3 keys to thriving after narcissistic abuse 3-hour teleclass, where you can learn all about how to up-level and heal these young wounds and become a whole person that's free of narcissistic abuse. And you can do that by clicking on the button that appears on this video as well. So that's it from me, everybody, until the next video. So keep smiling and keep thriving, because there is nothing else to do. Okay, so lots of love. Bye-bye.